My name is Toby Bishop, and I'm the only son my family has produced in 4 generations. Here's what that means. My maternal grandfather, Arthur Wexford, had 4 daughters, and each of those daughters went on to have daughters of her own. 3 full generations, and not a single boy. It wasn't some old-fashioned obsession with carrying on the family name for its own sake. My grandfather had spent his whole life building the Wexford business empire from nothing, and he was terrified of leaving it with no one to inherit it. Every year, at every gathering, his old rivals needled him about it. Still no grandson, Wexford. Looks like your empire dies with you. By the time he was in his 40s, the stress had already given him 1 heart attack. By his 3rd, he stopped getting out of bed altogether. Doctors told the family that a broken heart needed something more than medicine, but nobody could give him what he actually wanted. The whole family had more or less made peace with it, until my mother, 7 months pregnant with me, went in for a routine scan. The doctor studied the screen for a long moment before he looked up and said, "Congratulations. It's a boy." My mother used to tell me her knees went weak right there in the exam room, not from fear, but from relief. When the news reached my grandfather, who by then had been bedridden for 4 years, he threw off his blankets, pulled himself out of bed, and made his way outside to the old oak tree in the courtyard, where he sat down on the ground and wept. A 72-year-old man, crumpled under a tree, crying like a child. From that day forward, his health began to improve, and no doctor could explain why. His own physician finally just wrote it off as the old man's heart is finally at ease. So you can probably guess what my childhood looked like. The day I was born, my grandfather handed out celebratory cigars to every nurse, doctor, and stranger he passed in that hospital corridor. My first-month banquet filled the largest ballroom in the city. At my christening, my 4 aunts nearly came to blows over who got to hold me first. My mother liked to say that my first cry was louder than the bell my grandfather rang the day he took his company public. Growing up, there's really only one word for it: absurd. My sister, Grace Bishop, is 5 years older than me, and for as long as I can remember, she has managed nearly every part of my life. She walked me to school and picked me up. She chose my clothes. She cut my hair until I was old enough to protest. In high school, when I decided I wanted to do my own laundry, she hid the detergent from me. "Your hands are for holding a pen," she told me, "not for scrubbing socks." When I said she was being ridiculous, she just shook her head. "I'm not. You're the reason this whole family is still standing. Grandpa said so himself." And he had. His exact words, more than once, were that if anyone ever made me suffer, even a little, he'd crawl out of his own coffin to settle the score personally. My cousins were, if anything, worse. Harriet, the eldest, studied law overseas and now works at a top firm. Josephine, Jo, to everyone, works in finance. Millicent, the youngest, does design work. At every family dinner, all 3 of them competed to fuss over me like I was something breakable. "Toby, are you hungry? Toby, are you cold? Toby, how's your day been?" I'm a grown man, just under 6 feet tall, and they still talk to me like I was in kindergarten. I had to smile and answer every time, because if I didn't, they'd genuinely worry themselves sick. That was my life for 20 years, until my sister brought a man home. Derek Halloran, 27 years old, a marketing director at a tech company. Good-looking, a little over 6 feet, wire-rimmed glasses, and a slow, deliberate way of talking that made everything he said sound rehearsed. I met him for the first time at a family dinner. My sister pulled me aside beforehand. "Behave tonight. Don't scare him off." I told her I would. The dinner itself was unremarkable. Derek fussed over Grace the entire evening, serving her food, refilling her glass, and his performance was flawless. He even made a point of chatting with me. "So this is the famous little brother," he said, clapping my shoulder. "Gracie talks about you constantly." I nodded and called him by name. He smiled and told me we were family now. At the time, I thought he seemed decent enough. Steady, even. That impression lasted exactly 2 more meetings. The 3rd time we saw each other, Grace got called away for an emergency at work and asked me to keep Derek company in the living room until she got back. The second the front door closed behind her, his expression changed. It wasn't dramatic, more like a mask slowly sliding off, piece by piece. He sat back on the sofa, crossed his legs, and looked me over from head to toe. 20, right? Sophomore year. Still living off the family, I take it. His tone was flat, but the meaning underneath it wasn't. I didn't answer. He poured himself a glass of water and took his time drinking it. Grace tells me she's been buying your clothes since you were a kid. She likes doing it, I said. He laughed, a short, ugly sound that made something in my chest tighten. Let me ask you something, Toby. You think your sister's supposed to spend her whole life revolving around you? I frowned. What are you getting at? He leaned back, the pleasant mask sliding right back into place. Nothing. Just food for thought. Might be time you grew up. When Grace came home a few minutes later, he was instantly the same attentive boyfriend, rubbing her shoulders and asking about her meeting. I sat off to the side, watching his profile, and felt something settle low and uncomfortable in my stomach for the first time. Chapter 2. That discomfort came back, again and again, over the following month. The fourth time we met, Grace cooked an entire spread and invited us both to eat together. Partway through the meal, she reached over out of habit and set a piece of rib on my plate. Eat more. You've looked thin lately. Derek's chopsticks paused for a fraction of a second, barely noticeable, but I caught it. He said nothing and kept eating. Later that night, he accidentally knocked a glass of water into my lap. Sorry about that, kid, he said, already handing me a napkin, smooth as anything. Grace even apologized on his behalf. He didn't mean it, go change your pants. I let it go. The fifth time, we were at a shopping center. Grace spotted a jacket she liked on me and insisted I try it on. When I stepped out, she said it looked good. Derek stood a few feet away, glancing at the price tag with a faint smile. Not bad. Little brother's got expensive taste these days. He said it loudly enough for Grace to hear, the implication being that I spent her money without a second thought. She frowned but paid for it anyway. On the walk out, while Grace was in the restroom, Derek fell into step beside me. Don't you think it's a little pathetic, he said, a grown man depending on his sister for everything. Kind of embarrassing, don't you think? I stopped walking and looked at him. Something flickered behind his eyes, brief, cold, gone as fast as it appeared. Did I say something wrong? He asked, tilting his head. What exactly do you want from me? He patted my shoulder, the pressure just a little too firm to be friendly. Just some advice. Stop clinging to your sister so much. She's got a boyfriend now. Learn to let go. I didn't respond, not out of restraint, but because I was genuinely trying to figure out what this man thought he was doing. The sixth encounter wasn't really a family gathering at all, he invited me out alone. Free Saturday. Let me buy you a coffee, we should talk. Grace didn't know about it, she was working overtime that day. I went, not because I wanted to hear what he had to say, but because I wanted to see exactly how far he'd push it. He was already seated when I arrived, an Americano in front of him, and waved me over with the easy confidence of someone who thought he had the upper hand. I ordered a latte. He paid. He stirred his coffee slowly before he finally spoke. Toby, I wanted to have a real conversation with you. About you and your sister. What about us? I've been with Grace 3 months now. I'm serious about her. But honestly, you're a problem. His voice stayed level even as his knuckles went white around the cup. She thinks about you on our dates. Worries about you on business trips. Every time she buys something, the first thing she asks is whether you'd like it. I'm her boyfriend, not some ghost standing behind her. I took a sip of my latte and said nothing. I don't want to compete with a brother-in-law for her attention, he went on. So I need you to step back. Voluntarily. I set the cup down. And if I don't? His smile vanished for exactly 1 second, then returned, colder than before. Then I might not be quite so polite about it next time. Chapter 3. I didn't tell my sister any of this, not out of fear that it would worry her, but because I genuinely wanted to see how far he'd take it before he showed his hand completely. As it turned out, I didn't have to wait long. 2 weeks later, Grace's company held a banquet for a project her team had closed, and she brought Derek along. I had a light class schedule that day, so I went to pick her up afterward. I texted her when I arrived at the hotel, I'm downstairs. She replied that she'd be down in 5 minutes. While I waited in the lobby, scrolling through my phone, I heard the click of leather shoes approaching. I looked up. Derek, in a fitted suit, a half-empty glass of red wine in hand, his face flushed from the alcohol but his eyes completely clear. "Here to pick up your sister again." He looked down at me, swirling the wine. "Aren't you tired of following her around like a shadow? You know what her co-workers call you? The baby who never got weaned. 20 years old and still waiting outside like a puppy." "Let them say whatever they want," I said. He took another sip, then leaned in close enough that I could smell the wine and his cologne. His hand shot out and gripped my chin, not a light touch, a grip, his fingertips digging hard into the bone. "Toby." His voice dropped, almost against my ear. "Last time. Stay away from your sister. She's my girlfriend, not yours. Keep clinging to her, and I'll find plenty of ways to make your life uncomfortable. Understood?" His nails bit into my skin. It wasn't the pain that stung, it was being held in place like that, like a misbehaving child. I looked back at him, close enough to see the reflection of the lobby lights in his eyes, and underneath it, something colder, genuine contempt. He actually believed what he was saying. To him, I wasn't a person, just a leech, an inconvenience with the wrong last name attached to money he wanted. He let go, straightened his jacket, and slid the pleasant mask back over his face. "Go on, your sister's coming. Don't mention this to her, you wouldn't want to make things difficult for yourself." He walked off before finishing the thought, but the meaning was clear enough. I stood there for a moment, my chin still warm where his fingers had been, my heartbeat oddly steady. Then I pulled out my phone, not to call Grace, but to scroll to the bottom of my contact list. "Dad." He picked up on the second ring. "What is it?" His voice carried a note of surprise. I rarely called him directly. "I'm at the Somerset Grand, the east entrance," I said, keeping my voice even. "Can you come?" A pause. "What happened?" "Grace's boyfriend just grabbed my chin in the lobby. Told me to stop clinging to my sister." 3 seconds of silence stretched out on the other end, long enough that I could hear his breathing shift. Then, 2 words, "Wait there." The line went dead. I put the phone away, leaned against a pillar, and let out a small, dry laugh. Derek Halloran had absolutely no idea who he'd just picked a fight with. Chapter 4. I waited about 15 minutes. Grace came out first, jogging over with a box of tiramisu in her hands. "Sorry to keep you waiting, I grabbed you dessert, you mentioned wanting some." She looked me over, then frowned. "Why's your chin so red?" "Mosquito bite. In winter." She reached out to check it and I stepped back before she could. "It's nothing. I'll put something on it when we're home." She didn't push, but I could tell she was filing it away. My sister has always been sharp. She just didn't have the full picture yet, not for much longer, though. Derek came out behind her, the caring boyfriend mask fully back in place. "Grace, want me to drive you both home?" "No need, my brother's here," she said, smiling. His eyes cut to me for a second, a warning tucked behind his smile. I didn't return the look. I took my sister's hand and we left. "Don't go home tonight," I told her on the way. "Stay near my place. I want to talk." She laughed and ruffled my hair. "Sure. When my precious little brother wants to talk, I'm all ears." Instead of my dorm, I took her to the hotel across town that she'd always liked. On the way, I texted my father, "Grace is with me, she's safe." He replied with a single word, "Good," followed a moment later by, "On my way. Your aunts already know." I stared at that message and let out a breath. All I'd done was make one phone call, and my father had apparently notified the entire extended family. This was about to get bigger than I'd anticipated. That night, Grace sat against the headboard watching a show while I did homework beside her, quiet and ordinary, the way it had always been between us. She kept dropping strawberries into my bowl without looking up from the screen. "Eat more, vitamin C, don't catch a cold." This kind of care wasn't performance. It had been consistent for 20 straight years. Since I was old enough to remember, she'd been the one standing in front of me, pushing down the kid who stole my toy in preschool, confronting a teacher over a rumor in middle school, turning away at least 10 girls who tried to confess to me in high school. My brother's still young, she always said, her one all-purpose shield, even now that I was 20. It wasn't control. It was a sense of duty carved into her since childhood, because everyone in the family had told her, from the time she could walk, that protecting me was her job. Which meant that when Derek called me a parasite and told me to get weaned, he hadn't just insulted me. He dismissed 20 years of her effort without understanding a single bit of it. He was about to learn. That night my phone kept lighting up. My father, 10 a.m. tomorrow, Somerset Grand Lobby. Have your sister bring him. My cousin Harriet, give me his name. My cousin Joe, book the first flight out, landing at 8. My cousin Millie, send me the address, I'm driving over right now. My aunts, one after another, that little coward touched our Toby. Does it still hurt? Your mother's on her way. 37 unread messages, every single one from the women in my family. I set the phone face down in the dark and lay there, feeling something solid settle underneath me, steady, heavy, dependable. No matter how far I went or how high I climbed, there would always be a whole family standing under me, ready to catch me. Derek Halloran had picked the wrong person to threaten. Chapter 5. I woke before Grace the next morning. In the bathroom mirror, the redness on my chin had faded, but a faint crescent from his nail was still visible. I washed up and came out to find her already sitting up, hair a mess. What's the plan today? She asked. Ask Derek to meet us. I want to talk to him again, yesterday wasn't enough. She didn't think much of it and sent him a text. He replied within a minute, sure, babe, send the address, I'll be right there, with a kiss emoji attached. I looked at it and said nothing. I went downstairs ahead of her. My father was already in the lobby, wearing a plain dark overcoat, hair more gray than I remembered, his back still straight as a rod. Beside him stood his assistant and 2 security men who had the unmistakable look of people who could make someone disappear into a car trunk without breaking a sweat. He turned when he saw me and, without a word, lifted a hand to tilt my chin and examine the faint mark. His hand was trembling slightly, not from fear, I realized, but from barely contained anger. Does it hurt? He asked quietly. Not anymore. He let go, breathed out slowly, and turned to his assistant. Is the file on Halloran ready? The assistant handed over a tablet. All here. Derek Halloran, 27. Marketing director, salary just under $70,000 a year. Parents run a small hardware store back in his hometown, combined household income around $80,000. He's got a mortgage on his apartment here, still owes close to $300,000. My father glanced at it, expression flat, as if he were reading a grocery receipt, and handed it back. That's enough. Let me know the moment they arrive. At 9:45, more of the family started filing in. Harriet, my eldest cousin, strode in on heels, black coat, hair in a tight ponytail, the family's resident lawyer, and by her own description, a specialist in putting people in their place. She grabbed my chin the second she saw me. That's a fingernail mark. It doesn't hurt anymore. Doesn't matter. Her eyebrow went up. He's going to feel it either way. Behind her came Joe, still in her work suit, having changed at the airport after catching the earliest flight out. She wrapped me in a tight hug. Guys like that need to be put in their place. Don't worry, we've got you. Millie, the third cousin, had driven in the night before and was already waiting at a cafe next door, having sent a voice message ahead, your sister's here. Which idiot is it? Give me a name. I stood in the middle of all of them, half wanting to laugh, half feeling my throat go tight. Outside, a white BMW pulled up to the entrance. Derek stepped out, adjusted his tie, and walked in with a bag of pastries in hand and a warm smile already fixed in place, playing the devoted boyfriend for one more day, with absolutely no idea he was walking into a verdict, not a date. Chapter 6. The moment Derek stepped into the lobby, his easy stride slowed. His gaze moved from me, to my father, to the 2 security men standing at attention, and finally to the 3 women radiating an energy he clearly hadn't expected. His smile didn't disappear, but it froze in place. Toby, he didn't finish. The elevator doors opened and Grace stepped out. Derek, you're here. Then she saw everyone else and stopped cold. Dad. Harriet, Joe, why are you all here? My father spoke before she could ask again. Sit down, Grace. His voice wasn't loud, but it wasn't something you argued with either. She pressed her lips together and sat. Derek recovered his composure fast. He was a marketing man through and through. Within seconds his smile was back, hand extended toward my father. Mr. Bishop, good to meet you. I'm Derek, Grace's boyfriend. My father looked at the hand and didn't take it. It hung in the air for 3 full seconds before Derek pulled it back, adjusting his glasses to cover the awkwardness. Is there some kind of misunderstanding here? My father ignored him entirely and turned to me. Tell him. I stepped up to Derek, close enough that despite his height, he didn't feel tall to me at all anymore. Last night, in this exact lobby, you grabbed my chin and told me to stay away from my sister. Your exact words were that it was time I got weaned off her. The lobby went silent. Grace's face went through something I'd never seen on her before, not anger exactly, more like the look of someone who'd just been stabbed from behind. Is that true? She asked, voice shaking. Derek went pale for half a second before recovering. Grace, let me explain, You touched him. She stood up, shaking. You put your hands on my little brother. I didn't touch him, I just talked to him, maybe a little harshly. I saw the marks yesterday, she said, voice suddenly flat and cold. You told me it was a mosquito bite. She turned to me. Let me see. I tilted my head. The mark was faint now, but still visible, 5 small crescents where his fingers had dug in. Grace stared at it, her breath catching, then rushed out all at once. I introduced you to the most important person in my life, she said, and this is how you repaid it. Grace, calm down. We're done. Her voice dropped, quiet and final. From this moment, you and I have nothing left to say to each other. Derek's face cycled through white, then red, then something closer to purple. Over this. Because your little brother said one word. Harriet stepped forward, heels clicking against the marble, and stopped directly in front of him, half a head shorter but somehow taking up the whole room. Mr. Halloran. I'm a lawyer. You put your hands on an adult with intent to intimidate. Depending on how far this goes, that's grounds for a restraining order at minimum, and civil damages beyond that. I'd choose your next words carefully. His hands started to shake. He turned back to Grace. You can't just end this. We've been together 3 months. My father finally spoke, hands still in his coat pockets, watching Derek the way someone watches an insect. 3 months is plenty of time to learn my daughter's character. You knew she was soft-hearted. You knew she'd protect her brother before she'd tell the family anything was wrong. And you decided that made her an easy target. What exactly were you after from this family? I'm serious about Grace, Derek said. That has nothing to do with. Joe cut him off with a short laugh, holding up her phone. Serious enough that last month you were searching online for how to get your girlfriend to stop supporting her family financially. And this one, what to do when your girlfriend keeps spending on her brother. Her search history syncs to the shared cloud account. Thorough research for someone who claims this is about love. Derek's face came apart like something had physically struck it. Chapter 7. Cornered, a person generally does one of 2 things, accept it, or fight like an animal with nothing left to lose. Derek chose the second. He straightened his tie, forced a breath, and looked at me with something between contempt and desperation. Fine. You win, Toby. You're still nothing but a spoiled kid who's never worked a day in his life, raised by his sister, coddled by an entire family. What can you actually do? What do you have besides your last name and that face? The slap landed before he finished the sentence. Grace had crossed the room and struck him across the face so hard the sound cracked through the lobby. The room went dead silent. My sister, who I had never once seen raise a hand to anyone, stood in front of him, chest heaving, eyes rimmed red but her hand rock steady. My brother is nothing. Her voice shook but didn't break. My brother is the reason this entire family is still standing. I've held his hand since I was 5 years old. When he's well, my grandfather is well. When he smiles, this whole family smiles. Who exactly are you to call him useless? Derek backed away, one hand pressed to his reddening cheek, until his back hit a pillar. A man who can't even pay off his own mortgage, Grace went on, stepping closer with every word, who latched onto me to climb, who bullied my little brother behind my back and assumed I'd never find out. What right do you have to judge anyone in this family? Grace, that's enough. My father's voice cut through, quiet but absolute. He walked up to Derek and stopped a foot away. At 5'9", he wasn't a physically imposing man, but standing there, he might as well have been a wall. He pulled out his phone, dialed, and put it on speaker. It picked up on the first ring. Gerald, do me a favor. Check something for me. Marketing department at one of your portfolio companies, a Derek Halloran. A pause on the other end. That's one of ours. What about him? Let him go. 2 seconds of silence. Understood. He hung up. The entire exchange had taken under 30 seconds, and Derek's face went through the kind of collapse you only see once, not an explosion, more like the air draining out of him all at once, from arrogant to hollow in the space of a breath. You can't do this over something this small, he said, voice cracking. Millie, who'd wandered in from outside with a coffee in hand, set the cup down on a side table and tilted her head at him. You grabbed my cousin's face and threatened him, and you're calling that small? She smiled, and there was nothing warm in it. Do you understand what he means to this family? My grandfather got out of a sickbed he hadn't left in 4 years the day this kid was born. Every one of us grew up being told one thing: he doesn't get hurt, not by anyone, not ever. You just put your hands on the one thing this entire family agreed was off limits. Derek's knees buckled. He gripped the pillar to stay upright, something wet gathering in his eyes, not remorse, I realized. Fear. He was finally understanding that he hadn't been squaring off against one 20-year-old college kid. He'd been squaring off against an entire family, and the person standing at the center of it happened to be me. I was wrong, he said, barely audible. I shouldn't have touched you. You shouldn't have, I agreed. It was the first thing I'd said on my own since walking up to him. Not because I could have done anything to stop you. Because touching me was always going to cost you everything. That's not a threat. That's just how this works. He slid down against the pillar, both hands over his face, all the polish gone. The other hotel guests had clearly been watching the whole scene unfold, but nobody made a sound. Anyone could see this man wasn't getting back up. Chapter 8. Hotel security walked Derek out, not because anyone asked them to, but because he genuinely couldn't stand on his own and was blocking the lobby. He turned back once at the door, looked at Grace, opened his mouth, and said nothing. Then he was gone. His white BMW pulled away and never came back. Grace stood very still, back straight, but I could see her shoulders trembling. I walked up behind her. I'm sorry, I said. I should have told you sooner. She turned around. Her eyes were red, but she wasn't crying. She never cried in front of people outside the family. She reached up and touched my chin gently, tracing the faint marks. Does it hurt? Not anymore. It still should. She pulled me into a hug, tight enough that I felt it in my ribs. Next time someone touches you, she said into my shoulder, you don't wait a day. You don't call and hope it works out. You tell me. I will end them on the spot. I didn't say anything. I just let her hold on. My father watched quietly from a few feet away, saying nothing, though I caught the faint curve at the corner of his mouth. This was my family, loud, chaotic, protective to a degree that probably wasn't reasonable by most standards, but every bit of it was real. Harriet came over and clapped me on the back. All right, enough of the farewell speech. Cousin's buying hot pot. Hot pot? He just got manhandled, he needs something better than hot pot, Jo said, looping her arm through mine. He needs cake first, to settle his nerves, Millie said, pushing in from my other side. Everyone move, I'm taking him to get cake. Grace let go of me, watched the three of them squabble over my itinerary for the rest of the day, and finally smiled, a little wobbly, but real. Can you three stop fighting over my little brother for 5 minutes? You don't get a say, all three said, nearly in unison. The one you brought home was a walking red flag. Let us handle his taste in people from now on. I stood in the middle of the noise, wrapped in it, the way I'd been my entire life. My father stepped up and put a hand on my shoulder, not hard, just steady. Next time, he said, call me first. Okay, Dad. He smiled, clapped his hands once, and announced he was buying lunch. The 4 women cheered and pulled me toward the exit. As we passed the front desk, I caught a couple of the staff whispering. That guy looked pathetic, getting walked out like that. He deserved it, honestly, grabbing some kid's face like that. Did you see the dad make one phone call and get him fired on the spot? Outside, the winter sun was bright and surprisingly warm against the cold air. 3 black cars sat waiting at the curb. I climbed in, Harriet on one side, Joe on the other, Millie twisting around from the front seat to hand me a tangerine she'd already started peeling. As the car pulled into traffic, I leaned back and closed my eyes for a moment, thinking about the way Derek's composure had come apart, piece by piece, in under a minute. I didn't feel angry about it, and I never really had. Someone who grabs a stranger's face to make a point, who schemes behind people's backs, who overestimates himself while underestimating everyone around him, that kind of person isn't worth spending real anger on. All I'd had to do was make one phone call and let the rest of the family do what they'd always done. My phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number I recognized immediately. Are you happy now? You cost me my job. You'll spend your whole life living off your family. Pathetic. Harriet leaned over, read it, and laughed, not out of anger, just at the sheer absurdity of it. Want me to reply? Don't bother, I said, locking the screen. He's not worth another second of my time. She ruffled my hair. Look at you. All grown up. Joe had already screenshotted the message. I'm sending this to a lawyer anyway. Harassment's harassment. Forget it, I said. He's miserable enough as it is. Outside the window, the city rolled by, ordinary and bright. In the front seat, the argument had already moved from lunch to dinner, hot pot versus barbecue versus something else entirely, before all 3 of them turned to me at once. Toby, you decide. What do you want? I thought about it for a second. Barbecue. Done, all 3 said together. I settled back into my seat and let the sunlight hit my face through the window. This was ordinary life for me, noisy, warm, thoroughly spoiled by people who'd loved me since before I could talk. Derek had called it pathetic. I never saw it that way. Being loved like this was never something to be ashamed of. The only pathetic thing, as far as I was concerned, was resenting someone else for having it, instead of ever learning how to give it.